When we talk about epic fights in the animal kingdom, we often like to think about the Clash of the Titans. While some of those fights might seem a bit more one-sided, they're still cool to watch regardless. However, epic battles need not exclusively involve such massive animals. If you actually take a look closer, you can see even more epic fights in the insect world. From ants versus spiders to a praying mantis versus a giant centipede, here are the 10 craziest insect fights caught on camera. Number 10. Leafcutter ant versus a speckled house spider. Leafcutter ants are truly remarkable creatures. These ants, as their name suggests, harvest fresh leaves in the forest and take them to their burrows. They're so efficient at their job that one colony can actually strip a tree of its leaves in one day. However, despite their name, they don't actually eat the leaves, but they do use them to cultivate fungi, which is their main source of food. Like all ant colonies, each specific ant has their job to do. Workers harvest leaves and cultivate the fungi, while leafcutter soldiers protect the colony from intruders. You might have already guessed it, but it's these large soldiers that we are going to be focusing on today. They're armed with large and strong mandibles that are capable of tearing other ants completely in half. But unfortunately, sharp mandibles aren't enough to dispatch its opponent today, that being the speckled house spider. This relative of the Black Widow is an excellent ambush hunter and is fully capable of dispatching insects larger than itself. Case in point, this leafcutter soldier ant that wandered into its web. With an opponent so large, the spider let its web do most of the work, immobilizing the ant before coming in to dispatch it with its lethal venom. As soon as the ant came into the spider's web, it never stood a chance. Number 9. Blowfly versus praying mantis. Okay, so this actually isn't much of a fight. I'm sure none of you are going to expect the lowly blowfly to go toe-to-toe with the praying mantis, one of the most voracious carnivorous insects in the world. Duh. And as expected, as soon as the mantis catches the blowfly, it does make quick work of it, first tearing off the poor fly's wings before feasting on its abdomen. However, it's not the gory kill that's the main attraction of this video. It's actually the way the blowfly reacts to the situation. You see, there's really no escape for the poor fly, but it can do something to make sure that its line lives on. As you can see here, even while the mantis is devouring its head, the fly unexpectedly expels its maggot young, making sure that at least they have a chance to survive the mantis' voracious onslaught. Number 8. Centipede versus a tarantula. Now here's a fight that you'd actually be able to see in the wild. A tarantula and a centipede fighting over prey. This time, however, the three-way dance between predators and prey is happening in an enclosed space, and the fight is filmed in all its graphic glory. You'd think that the larger tarantula would be the aggressor in this fight, but it's actually the centipede that initiates the action, going after the tarantula with the kind of tenacity that I've never seen in an insect before. It looks like the centipede got a few bites in, but in the end it was no match for its much larger foe. It then lays lifeless on the floor of the terrarium, falling victim to the tarantula's lethal venom. Number 7. Asian black scorpion versus leech. Here's yet another fight that I was pretty sure we all knew how it'd end, but how it got there is extremely surprising. Here we have an Asian black scorpion taking on a leech, probably the most defenseless insect on this list, next only to the blowfly. Basically, the uploader was just curious to what would actually happen when these two insects would come face to face, and the result is actually pretty surprising. You see, the scorpion initially didn't want anything to do with the leech, who was advancing on the scorpion trying to climb on its back. The scorpion, on the other hand, was trying to stay away from the leech, using its pincers to stave the wriggly insect away, but the persistent leech kept on coming. Out of options, the scorpion was forced to use its main weapon, its sharp-pointed tail laced with venom. Now, it did take a few hits before the leech finally went down. And yet another surprise, the scorpion refused to touch the leech. Some might think it's clearly respecting the foe that had such tenacity, but honestly it's probably just really gross, it doesn't want to eat it. Number 6. Scorpion versus beetle. If I asked you who'd win in a fight between a scorpion and a beetle, most of you would probably bet on the scorpion to win. After all, beetles aren't really known to be vicious predators, but watch this clip and the ending is definitely going to surprise you. From the word go, the beetle seemed to know exactly how to handle the scorpion. It immediately targeted the scorpion's most dangerous part, its venom-laden tail. It attacked it with such ferocity that the tail was nearly severed in two. And after the scorpion tried out because of the struggle, the beetle went on for the scorpion's pincers before dealing the fatal blow. For those familiar, this is actually a warrior beetle, which is a predatory species that feeds exclusively on devil scorpions out in the wild, which actually explains its expertise in dealing with said deadly insect, so it's not really a surprise there. Number 5. Bull ant versus cricket. Now, bull ants aren't really carnivorous. In fact, they mainly feed on honeydew that they get from plants and flowers. So, when presented with an opponent such as a cricket, these two bull ants actually ignored it, until the cricket itself initiated contact. The cricket approached one of the ants and looked like it kicked it, which obviously angered said ant. In retaliation, the ant responded with a few bites from its mandibles, as well as formic acid-laced stings. And as soon as the ant retaliated, the cricket stood no chance. The cricket probably died when injected with the formic acid, which is the venom that the ants carry. This only shows that even the vegetarians of the insect kingdom can carry themselves in a fight if pushed to retaliation. Number 4. Bees versus giant hornet. Okay, this one's pretty obvious here. Bees and Japanese giant hornets are mortal enemies. Most bee hornet encounters end with the hornet victorious. In fact, a single one of these giant hornets can annihilate an entire colony of bees by itself. Hornets actually target bees specifically to obtain the adult bees, their pupae, and larvae as food for their own larvae. Now, what normally does happen is that a scout hornet is going to fly off to find a suitable hive to raid, and mark it with pheromones so that other hornets can home in on it and start the massacre. However, the Japanese honeybee isn't without its defenses, as you're soon going to see. Now, this hornet scout thought that he found the mother lode and quickly marked the place. However, instead of immediately swarming the intruder, the bees lured the hornet inside the hive. Once inside, one bee sacrificed itself to the hornet, which signaled the other bees to go in for their literal kill. However, they don't sting the hornet to death, but rather they form into a ball to raise the temperature inside the mass of bees where the hornet is. The bees have a higher heat tolerance compared to the hornet, so essentially, they cook the hornet to death. Bet you're surprised by that one. Number 3. Black widow versus wolf spider. Wolf spiders are quite unlike other spiders. Instead of using their webs to catch their prey, they actively hunt for said prey, hence the reason they're named as such. They're also venomous, and their venom is lethal enough to dispatch their insect prey, but is too weak to be very harmful to humans. Their prey includes most ground-dwelling insects as well as other spiders, but when this particular wolf spider decided this black widow would be its next meal, it definitely bit off more than it could chew. The black widow is a formidable predator in its own right, and while the wolf spider dwarfs her in size, she more than makes up for it with her agility and her more toxic venom. The widow weaves in and out of striking distance, making sure that the wolf spider doesn't have the chance to strike, all the while kicking with her legs, waiting patiently to give her final death blow. In the end, the widow's venom proved too much for the much larger wolf spider, and the black widow lives to fight another day. Now it's time for today's best pick. Today's best pick is a submission from a subscriber just like you, so if you find something online and want to find out more about it, send it on over to us and we'll look into it for you. Who knows, might even feature it in a future video. Number 2. Praying mantis versus Asian black scorpion. Now it's finally time to answer the age-old question. Who's gonna win a fight between a praying mantis and a scorpion? These two have built a reputation in the insect world for being two of the most ferocious and voracious hunters. So, what's gonna happen when the two face off? Well, apparently a whole lot of nothing. The two look like they're immediately sizing each other up, but that's as far as they went. In fact, just a few moments later, the mantis was climbing into the back of the scorpion and the latter didn't seem to mind at all. Who knew that the face-off between these two behemoths of the insect world would be so anticlimactic? Well, the only reason I can think of as to why this would happen is if the two weren't really that hungry, but that was quickly debunked at the beginning of the video, with the uploaded stating that both insects were indeed hungry. Maybe they were just camera shy? Or maybe they just genuinely didn't care to fight one another. Either way, pretty boring fight as far as fights go. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. Praying mantis versus giant centipede. Okay, yeah, I admit that last one was a big disappointment, but I promise this next one's gonna be the ultimate miniature kaiju battle that you've been waiting for. The fighters? Well, you just heard them, I just said it. Yes, it's none other than the praying mantis, a vicious insect that needs no introduction. And on the opposite end of the ring is the giant centipede, another lethal hunter in its own right. Who's gonna win in this epic battle? Well, let's check it out right now. From the start, you'll see that the centipede has the advantage. It's got more legs, you see, and it uses that advantage to render the mantis immobile, neutralizing its two most dangerous weapons, its sickle-like front legs and its debilitating bite. The fight is over almost immediately, with the giant centipede emerging victorious. Sadly, even the famed praying mantis was no match for this giant multi-legged predator. Which insects would you have battled head-to-head? Let us know down below in the comments. Also, make sure to check out the channel's other amazing content. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Later, everybody.